Have you heard that expression about continuing to do the same thing and expecting different results? It's insanity, apparently. I wouldn't go that far, but let's talk about this in respect to language learning, and specifically what you're doing to improve your comprehension. The thing is, habits are generally good for language learning. Doing something at the same time every day, for example, so that you do it automatically after a while. But drilling vocabulary, which is what I might term extreme repetition, is considered by a large number of people, including me, to be ineffective. However, spaced repetition, that might be good in some cases. But we're going to talk about listening and reading. When it comes to listening to things in your target language, I believe you do need to keep changing things up, or you're not going to progress. For example, with podcasts, and I'm specifically talking about ones you're listening to for comprehension rather than grammar tips, if you continue to listen to the same voices all the time, yes, you will begin to understand them better, but after a certain point, it gets way too comfortable. And that means you're not going to progress. You need to listen to a wide variety of voices, speech patterns, and accents for real progress. You need to change things up. Why do you think I've listened to so many different podcasts? Because I'm constantly changing things up. I may only listen to a handful of episodes of a particular podcast and then move on to something else. If I can understand something easily, I shouldn't listen to it too much. I should find something more difficult. The only exception to this might be if I were trying to learn about a specific subject for some reason, but that's rare. Why do I try to listen to lots of audiobooks? Because that's a completely different kind of speech in the language, and often much more difficult to understand because you can't see the person speaking, as you can do on many podcasts these days, and you're trying to understand what this new world you're consuming is all about, and it can be very different from ours. I am going to do a new post on audiobook listening with everything I've learnt recently, soon, possibly next month, with tips and tricks for this kind of listening. Listening is hard, and comfort is comforting. But you need to get out of your comfort zone and listen to something more difficult. Okay, reading. If you always read the same author in the same genre, you're going to get used to the style and you're not going to push yourself. What was that you said? I've read lots of books by the same authors and in the same genres. Okay, yes, I have read quite a few books by the same authors, but not necessarily in the same genres. Different genres have wildly different sets of vocabulary. And yes, I've read quite a bit of fantasy and science fiction, but not necessarily by the same authors or in the same language. Every author has a different style of writing, of sentence construction, of favoured vocabulary. Science fiction and fantasy are my favourite genres. But I've also read quite a lot of mystery, crime novels, which I like okay, but they're not my favourite. I've read some horror, which I only really enjoy as such if it's linked to fantasy, rather than someone who could be living next door. Plus, some of the books I haven't posted about, because they're not suitable for this channel, are in other genres. However, finding books to read can be more difficult than finding podcasts, especially when you first start out, because most of what people recommend, if you search the internet for this, is classic books. I should have added classics to that list. I've read a handful of those. However, in case you haven't watched any of my videos about reading, I don't rate classic books as good for language learning, because the older they are, the more antiquated the language. You need contemporary language when you're learning, not phrases and words you're never going to have a reason to use. The thing is, the algorithms are used to recommending things to you in your own language. They will take a while to catch on to the fact that you want to see things in other languages. But once you've found a few books you like, the algorithms will start recommending things to you that are related to your purchases. That difficulty starting is why I started to talk about individual books with regards to readability for a foreigner, specifically an English speaker, obviously, because I know there's a dearth of useful information. But even once the algorithms kick in, they'll be recommending more of the same, so you still need to keep searching. Oh yes, I forgot to add non-fiction to that list. I've read a handful of non-fiction too. And kids' books, I've read some of those. So read different authors in different genres. Read books for different ages too, because the language will definitely be different. And if you remember nothing else from this video, remember this: don't get stuck in a rut. Change things up regularly. Set a reminder in your calendar if it helps.